I honestly thought I'd get 9 out of 9 last week, and then I ended up only getting 5 out of 9. Just to prove how unpredictable this AFL season has been. Speaking of unpredictability, let's just go to round 16. Friday night. I wish it was Thursday night because we've been having Thursday nights for the last few weeks. So on Friday night, Hawthorn versus Collingwood. You got to go Collingwood. I mean, they'll be disappointed last week. The way they did, what they dished up against the Roos, who started off the season badly, have been rejuvenated under Reece Shaw. But still, it's North Melbourne. They're not the greatest side in the competition against Collingwood. Okay, they are getting some injuries now. But I don't get how Collingwood lost that game last week. Collingwood won't get how they lost that game. Nathan Buckley won't understand how they lost. And they'll be wanting a response against the Hawks. Hawks, they're not playing any footy. I mean, they came close to beating the Eagles, but really and truly, 4 losses in a row. It will go to 5. Collingwood will win this game easily, and they'll make a response from last week's shock loss. On Saturday afternoon at the MCG, Essendon versus Sydney. Two sides that, well, how do I put it? Sydney, well, they're bouncing back from a poor start. So are Essendon. The season is that it has a pulse. I'm going to be tipping Essendon for one reason. 3 letters, MCG. I don't think Sydney, for what I know, I don't think Sydney plays all that well at the MCG. Essendon generally tend to have a better success rate at that ground. Sydney are playing some good footy at the moment, but they have also played some easy teams, apart from the fact that they did beat the Eagles. Essendon, they beat Giants last week, so it proves that they can beat quality sides. Now, Sydney's not really a quality side, but they're a side that's trying. It'll be a very close game, I will say this, but because it's at the MCG, I'm tipping Essendon. Saturday afternoon at Metricon Stadium, Gold Coast versus Richmond. I'm going to be tipping Richmond. They're back. A bit of a rusty start against the Saints last week, but Richmond fought their way back, got to a comfortable lead at the end. Suns haven't won since they've been Carlton in round 4, and haven't won by more than 5 points this whole season. And now they're playing a rejuvenated Richmond side. Gold Coast at the bottom, Richmond back in the top 7. Top 8, I should say, probably. I don't know. What do you think I should say? Anyway, so Richmond back in the top 8. Gold Coast wooden spoon. Well, you got to go Richmond. Saturday twilight at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. This will be an intriguing match. Port Adelaide will be disappointed the way they played against the Bulldogs, particularly after beating Geelong. Adelaide, meanwhile, played well against Geelong to start off with, and then fell back at the end. Couldn't hold on against a quality opposition like Geelong. Look, I think Adelaide are good enough to beat Port Adelaide. They generally have a good succession rate against them. They did beat them back in round 8. And I think Adelaide, well, against an inconsistent Port Adelaide side, and considering the players that Adelaide have got, you got to go Adelaide. They'll win showdown 51. Wait, is it 51? I don't know. Saturday night at Marvel Stadium, Western Bulldogs versus Geelong. You got to go Geelong. I know the Bulldogs, they beat Port last week. It's Port. They are inconsistent, and it was in wet, sloppy rain. Now this will be under the roof. So I'm tipping Geelong. Well, they're on top of the ladder. I know under the trail, like a knockout trail type thing, if Port beat Geelong and the Bulldogs beat Port, then the Bulldogs can beat Geelong. Nah, I think Geelong just had an off night that week. I don't think the knockout trail works, so if this was a pre-season pool, it would be 1-1. Forget about that at the moment. There's nothing got to do with that. I think Geelong at the top of the ladder should have a comfortable win against the Bulldogs, who have only won 6 games this season. Saturday night at Optus Stadium, the Western Derby, West Coast versus Fremantle. It's actually a Fremantle home game. I'm going to be tipping West Coast. Fremantle, they just seem so inconsistent. I mean, Carlton, Melbourne, Gold Coast. Okay, they're on 7 wins. They should be on 10 wins. Like, come on, these are 3 sides that you should easily beat. 3 of the worst sides in the competition. What do they all have in common? They've all been able to beat Fremantle. But then, Fremantle go beat sides like, what, GWS, Collingwood? I won't be surprised if they beat Geelong in round 20, and I won't be surprised if they win on Saturday night. I won't be tipping them because I think they're too inconsistent. They don't have a great mentality, and they haven't beaten West Coast in a long bloody time. I can't remember the last time they won. It's like been 8 games. West Coast have a good succession rate. They've got Natanui back. On top of that, Fremantle have got some players injured. West Coast, they get Barras back, they get McGovern back. It should be a full-strength side. So, I think Derby 50, I think West Coast will win. Sunday afternoon at, I think, the MCG, Melbourne versus Carlton. I always keep my faith in this side. Carlton, I'm tipping Carlton again. You know why? They're competitive enough to win games. I mean, I know they're not great, but they are competitive. The whole season, they've lost some games that they should have won because they're not competitive. Because they just let go of games at the last minute. Like Collingwood, St Kilda, they almost beat them. Who else? Hawthorn. That Gold Coast, they should have easily won that. Just for example, there was a few others in the first 3 rounds where they played pretty well to win. They could have won those. But Melbourne, I don't think they're playing well at all. I mean, they should have a side that, what happened to that side that led Melbourne to a preliminary final last year? It doesn't seem to be there. They're the team that's getting smashed every week. Week by week, they get smashed. Carlton had a few off weeks in the middle stretch, but most of their losses have been quite small, have been marginal. So that's why I'll be tipping Carlton. It will be another 1-goal game, I'm telling you that. It will be 1 goal that decides the game, but I think Carlton will win. Sunday afternoon at Bloodstone Arena, North Melbourne versus St Kilda. Alright, North Melbourne, historically they've been good in Tassie. I don't know what's happened the last 2 times they played down there. But against the St Kilda side, who, week by week, they're struggling with a lack of class. North Melbourne, they just come off a win against Collingwood. They beat Richmond. So, I think North Melbourne, this time, they should win at a ground they've played well at this over the years. I think North will win at Bloodstone this time. And lastly, on Sunday afternoon at Giants Stadium, GWS versus Brisbane. It's going to be an intriguing clash. GWS will want to respond. I mean, the way they played was just an absolute shocker against Essendon. How do you let go of a 4-goal margin and then lose? I don't understand that. Brisbane, they're homesick, I feel, that team. They like home, but they don't like playing outside of their home ground. GWS are the exact same. They're homesick as well. They like playing at home, but not on other grounds. So, with the home ground advantage, that's the only reason why I'm tipping GWS. So, to recap my tips, I am tipping Collingwood, Essendon, Richmond. I just realised 3 out of the big 4. Adelaide, Geelong, West Coast, Carlton, North Melbourne, and GWS. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Share this video with others. Comment what you think down below and check out my other videos. And I'll see you next week. Goodbye.